Hello, welcome to Faces of South Asia. Thank you for watching our show. It's been Thanksgiving, happy belated Thanksgiving. This year I went and visited an Indian home and we decided to share our Thanksgiving experience with you. And this is a lady who has been in this country for 43 years, and more than 43 years. And when she came in, she didn't know a word of English, but how she started her life, how she started learning all the cultures and the traditions, and now she also makes turkey. So it was quite interesting, and I thought I would share this experience with you. So hopefully you're going to like watching the Thanksgiving presentation, and thank you. Hi, Bulu.
Hi.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
Thank you. And now I see that, thank you for inviting us for your wonderful presentation. I'm here, of course, to share some moments from your life as how you have assimilated yourself from South Asian origin to this wonderful Thanksgiving, the presentation, the cooking of turkey. I smelled turkey when I walked in with us.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm glad that you all came, and
Yeah. So how long have you been doing this?
I'm doing that for a long time. About more than 40 years I'm doing it. Before I used to go to one of my friend's house.
And was she your friend when you came from South Asia? Was she a South Asian
No,
friend?
she's originally from Norway.
Oh, so she's a Norwegian American, and you've known her for how long? 43 years.
More than that.
So. So is she? So you used to visit her house.
So we used to visit their house, and we used to have
Thanksgiving over the weekend. And so once you started visiting her house for Thanksgiving, when did you really think that I too want to do something for myself at my place?
So after a few years, then it was driving little long distance, so I decided to have it on my own in my house. So I started doing it, and I used to invite my friends over, and everybody enjoyed the
festive day.
Yeah, Thanksgiving dinner. But
I'm very amazed with you of balancing both your traditional as well as assimilation to the new culture. So that's why I thought you were the right person to shed some light into this assimilation of culture, you know. As I see you follow your tradition, you are in your traditional garb. In spite of that, you have baked a turkey, I saw, as well as all the accessories, which definitely I'm going to show my viewers. How did you manage to do this?
Well, at first it was not easy to. Then I remember my friend's house, and then I started reading the books and all the magazine and how to. I learned from that, and also the TV shows. So then I started doing it my own.
And so you have your now personal recipe for your baking and cooking of the turkey. As I hear that back in South Asia, you do not eat turkeys.
No.
Is that true?
Yeah.
So mistakes over the years?
Yes, I did a lot of mistakes, and then you learn.
I am so glad that we'll have a perfect presentation. When the table is all set, I'm going to take pictures, and I really thank you for inviting me, as well as assimilating to the culture, to the new culture, so that all of us can learn from you. And I understand that when you came, that was how many years ago? 45 years ago?
Yes, it was more than 45 years ago, and at that time I did not even know how to speak English. So
Yes.
it was so difficult to get used to this country, and so I used to watch television and listening to the radio, and then listening, then I learned how to speak, to pick up the language, and then also from my son when he started going to school and he came, and he used to speak in English, so I learned from him.
So you really wanted to try,
Yeah.
because you will be surprised to believe that I have got some emails from our South Asian culture stating that the show I do in English, they do not follow a word because they don't speak English and they don't know. So they want, to speak in their own dialect, whether be it Hindi, whether be it English, so it touched my heart because I never knew that today we also have our old country coming in who do not understand the word I'm saying, so they sent me lots and lots of emails. So I was wondering, you shed light. Saying, yeah.
I also went to the school. I went to learn this. They had this adult education school, and I went to school, and then I learned some, the grammar and that's how I could learn. I could speak properly, and also listening. I think watching the TV, you learn a lot of because of that you see how they're speaking and everything, and also. When you don't have any other choice, so you just start, anyway you explain yourself, anyway you have to speak whatever you have to say something. And that's what I did. But it was very, very difficult for maybe couple of years. It was very difficult. And then gradually I learned little by little to speak. But I also studied, I used to read a lot of books and how to speak English. So
I also, you said earlier that not only did you learn to speak English, you also went to school, I hear, and you also completed your nursing career degree. The women who didn't know how to speak English have started not only learning English, then you also, is that true?
Yes, I did. After my son went to college, and then I was feeling lonely at home. So I wanted to study something. So my husband suggested that why don't you go to nursing school and study. So I went to the nursing school and I finished my graduation, and I was so happy. I really, really feel happy that I could do that, because passing that test from New York, I thought it was very, very difficult for me. But I did pass in the first time, so I feel very happy on that. And also I learned how to drive. That was also another challenge for me because I failed many times, but I did not give up. And I learned, because in this country, if you don't drive, then you are so lonely. And here you cannot go anywhere without a car. You cannot, so driving is very important to this, in here. So I learned also to do that. So I am kind of feel very proud and happy that whatever I achieved coming in this country, I feel very lucky, and I have my nice family.
I'm so proud of you, and I do hope, I wish everyone is as courageous as you to come to this country at such an early, at a young age. And a woman who couldn't speak English, the girl I would say who couldn't speak English, learned to speak English, went to school, completed her nursing career, of course married with a wonderful family, and then went about to assimilating cultures of the old country as well as new country. So I'm so proud of you, and thank you so much for making my Thanksgiving such a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This is my Thanksgiving turkey, and the gravy goes with that, and this is the salad, and then there is some mixed vegetable I made, and this is the stuffing. There are some stuffing inside the turkey also, and I cooked something outside, and then the mashed potato, and this cranberry sauce, that's you needed to eat with that, the turkey. And then I cook the sweet potato, yam. And then these are the Thanksgiving, the dessert. They make pumpkin pie, apple pie, and then I made pecan pie, and some sweet, and some Rice Krispies for my granddaughter. And I hope everybody enjoys my dinner, and I am very happy to make this every day, every year I make it. So I just wait, when the time comes. So the family get together and have fun, and it's really very enjoyable. And I will see you later.
So I'm sure you enjoyed her presentation, and for me it was quite fascinating because you see her experience was she came from a country in South Asia, as you know, India, and then she didn't know a word of English, and you heard how she went through her life. She went and did nursing, and she did a fabulous job. She told me some time back that it took her 7 times to pass the driving test, but she still did it. And that caught my attention, and I thought you would like it. So if she can do it, I think all of us can absolutely embrace the old country, the new country, and teach our children how to grow up. And here with me I have Sandy. And Sandy's been with the Indian community, again a country of South America, for a very long time. And Sandy loves India, has been to India, loves the culture, the community. So I thought it was time for Sandy to let us know how she thinks and she sees the community or the entire South Asian community with her eyes. And Sandy also has worn clothes that represent parts of India, which she's going to explain. And so, Sandy, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's always a delight to do something a little new, and this is quite new for me. And I will preface by saying I visited India, but I first came into the community, I would say, approximately 23 years ago. And it was quite a change for me. I was born and raised in New York. I was living in New York for most of my life, and then I came to Boston, and this is where I became friendly with the Indian community. And I remember the first experience of going to a party of mainly Indian people. My hardest thing was many of them spoke their language, and it quite surprised me where they were professionals and they had been educated in English. And yet I'm in a room with probably 50 or 60 people, half of which spoke some language from India. So I was wondering whether it was to talk about me or talk with me. And it's taken me many years. I still haven't quite figured it out. But I will say that I embraced the culture. I found a lot of friends. I've made many friends through the years. I've enjoyed the food, the music, the culture, and I particularly enjoyed visiting India. I've been there on quite a few occasions. I've been to weddings in India, which is quite an experience. And I think I've been from one end to the other, from north to south. The only places that I might not have been were Calcutta, and places that, there was no reason to go at that particular time. But it's a fun place to go to, and it's quite an experience to see the way a country of such a vast population live. Mm-hmm. And we in this country think that if we have the house a little too close to next door, that we're being smothered to death. And it's not so. The one thing I will tell you is that in this country we have slums, but we don't mix the slums with the bed of housing. And in India it's quite common to see a gorgeous building, a beautiful home, and you walk out front and you see the cows and the horses and the manure.
So well spoken.
Blew me away. But, as I say, it's just a vast different kind of upbringing. It's a vast different kind of living. But I embraced it with all my heart, and most of my friends now are of the Indian culture.
That's wonderful.
But I speak no Hindi, no Sindhi, no Telugu, nothing. But, surprisingly enough, even though if you don't speak it, you still can pick up a few words. So when they talk about me, I think I know that they're talking about me. And I laugh because till this day, when I walk into a room, I don't dress typically Indian too often. And when I walk into a room, I still get a couple of women that will go. They check me out from head to toe, which is fine. I'm flattered.
Absolutely.
Because if they didn't check me out, I'd say, oh, they don't care what I'm wearing and what I look like. But I don't visit India as often as these ladies do, so therefore when I do shop, I shop a little differently than the average Indian woman, because I'm shopping for something that's a little more fusion, that I could wear and wear 10 years from now and still never feel out of style. And basically, that's
a great stylish way, and I see you've put yourself together.
Well, I wanted to wear something which was definitely Indian without coming in a glitzy Indian outfit, because I don't own too many of those. I do have them, but those to me are for weddings. And this jacket I bought in Delhi, but actually it was made in Kashmir. And it's all hand embroidered. It's a lovely piece, and I bought it probably maybe 6 years ago, and it stood up very well because it's a tradition that never goes out of style, and I have a few of these. The jewelry I bought in my travels. I bought a lot of silver. I have some gold, but basically I buy silver when I go to India, because the gold I can get in this country, it's not that cheap anymore the way it was years back. Plus the fact I don't care for myself for the very bright yellow gold. I prefer something a little more subtle. So I buy silver.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in South India, in Uti, I found a silver store that I visited time and time again. And the people who I was friendly with made me take them to my little find of a silver store. And they gave them a lot of business. So that was an experience. I brought back quite a few things from India through the years. I brought pictures. I have many pictures hanging in the house that were painted in India. I don't know if the artists were famous, and I really didn't care. I brought them because I liked them, and I liked the color, and it fits in, to what we have in the house. And I can say of my favorite places that I visited in India, I would say that Goa is number one, because Goa is a beautiful place to go for a resort. I went to a wedding that I attended that was done on the beach.
Oh, beautiful.
And it was breathtaking. And the Indian Ocean was lovely. I was out in a boat floating around the Indian Ocean, and I said to the guy who was driving the boat, I said, please, I says, get me back. I have to get back to the United States. And I loved, of course, Bombay is always nice. Mumbai is always nice to visit. But I really like Delhi. I like the new part of Delhi, because I just thought it was, very much cosmopolitan, and it reminded me very much of New York. The hustle and the bustle. And I think that I like Bangalore. We were in India actually a day before the tsunami, and I was in that part of India. Uh-huh. And I never called home to say, because those were the days before the cell phone. But they weren't for Europe that much. And I said, gee, what am I going to call? Nobody will worry about me. And my daughter was frantic, and she had the Red Cross looking for me.
Oh,
when I came back and I called her, she yelled at me, how did you not call? We were so worried. I says, no news is good news. If I needed you, somebody would have gotten to you. And that was a tragedy. It was unfortunate for the people who had lost their lives, but we were actually in Kerala, and we didn't go on the boat to sightsee the day before it happened because I wasn't feeling well. I had eaten some shellfish in Trivandrum, and I think it made me sick. So I was not going on the rocky water with one of these little, crafty things because I wasn't feeling that well. But we got home safely, and I repeated it. We were in Jaipur. We went to a wedding at a palace.
Oh, that's nice.
And that was my first experience going to India. We got off and took one plane into Jaipur, and then we were picked up by a taxi. And the taxi is riding through the city to this palace, and I see chickens and pigs, wild pigs, and horses. And I turned and I said, oh my God, where are all these animals coming from? And they were floating in the street. And I've never experienced that before because having not traveled to India, I've never seen animals walking in New York City other than horses with cops on top of them or the buggies around Central Park. So that was an experience. Unfortunately, I couldn't shop in Jaipur. We had no time because the wedding took up the whole time that we were there. They had us busy from morning until night. It was 4 days of festivity. And it was just lovely. We were there for Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, lovely.
So it's a nice time of the year, and we had one evening on the sand dunes, and they were doing fights on the horses with the spears. It was just enchanting. I felt like I was in Arabian Nights.
Oh, wow.
Very, very. And they even had a bathroom that flushed. I don't know where they got this. It wasn't the porta potty that we're accustomed to, and they had somebody standing there with the bowl and the towels, giving us linen towels to wash our hands and dry them with. So that, too, was a nice experience. And all I have to hear is, do you want to go to India? I'm ready to go.
That's so nice to hear.
Because it was really, the people have been absolutely, I visited friends and family, and it's always a delight. I feel so welcome there.
That's wonderful. Now, would you shed some light on the women of India, not the women of India who are in United States, but the women of India in India? What did you see through your eyes?
Well, it depends. I saw the old-fashioned woman, which was the woman probably of my generation or my mother's generation that wasn't brought up the way we are in this country. And I also saw a family that were brought up very similar to what we are, depending upon what their education and where they went to school and where in India they're living. If they're living city, then they are much more with it. They are not ignorant of what goes on anywhere, even in the smaller towns, because of the movies. Movies in India are the biggest thing that you can possibly want. But it's a different, it's like somebody looking from this country to what goes on in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. It's a different perspective, it's a different view. Mm-hmm. And I found that for the most part, the women are very updated in fashion, and not every woman in India dresses in the traditional Indian garb.
Correct.
Many of the women are walking around and wearing jeans and slacks and just the way we're dressing here. And I'm not going from now, I'm going from my first trip, which was probably about 8 years ago, even at that time. And of course, shopping is always fun. It's because we don't get the things in India, we can see things that we don't get necessarily here. So it's always, I think I must have brought back 10 little coaster sets that I handed out for I don't know how many years as gifts because they were beautiful.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Did you see the Taj Mahal?
Oh, the Taj Mahal was great. Breathtaking place to visit. And you should, whoever goes to India should not,
Miss.
Yeah. We traveled extensively in India. I didn't see just one thing. I mean, I can't even remember. I don't take pictures anymore because I feel I'm too old for pictures. Whatever I can't remember, I can't remember. But my mind has to be the one that photographs. Because I changed cameras and I lost a lot of pictures in the change of cameras. So I stopped after my first trip to India. I stopped taking pictures. But the Taj Mahal was fabulous. I found it very funny that temples, it's like going to New York. You can walk in New York and see church after church after church. Well, in India, it's temple after temple after temple. And all these temples are different.
Yes.
The gods are the same, but I think the temples are different. And it's like anything else. The temples all want money. The churches all want money. So in that respect, we're not different here than they are in India. The only thing that I really found was, devastating was the poverty. However, in every country you have poverty. It's not only India. We have it in this country. And unfortunately or fortunately, we don't see as much of the poverty here because the population isn't what it is in India. Mm-hmm. In India, your population is massive. Mm-hmm. However, the people are happy living in a shack. They still have a television antenna, mm-hmm. and they're still watching TV, mm-hmm. and that's their life. So it doesn't really change. And I guess in this country, too, if people are on welfare and people are from the lower class of society, they live, and they're not unhappy. I mean, if they go to Walmart and shop, that makes them happy. They don't have to go to a high-end store because they're not used to it anyway. Mm-hmm. But there is a difference in any country. The only thing I found that when, if I lived in India, I would learn the language. Mm-hmm. Living here, I feel that most people tend to flit into their own language. And I find sometimes I'll go to a function and it's just not the comfort level. Mm-hmm. They tell jokes. I can't laugh. I don't know what they're talking about. So it's not my comfort level that the language is such a barrier. And that is hard for me. It's always been hard for me to adapt.
But I think that most of the South Asians, they don't realize that there's someone else in the room who does not understand the language.
You're right. And it was explained to me that this is their comfort level, that they automatically swing into that language because they grew up speaking it. So my question was, did you learn English?
No.
They did.
They did,
They did. They were educated. They learned English. But they didn't speak English necessarily at home because their parents didn't speak English.
True.
So it was something that they just went from their language. It was just easier for them to communicate. But there are so many languages in India. You have to be, knowledgeable of all the different areas to speak all the languages. But other than that, I love the people. I love my friends. I love being with them. I love entertaining them and being entertained by them. And it's been a very pleasurable experience for me.
You're such a fabulous woman. I know you personally. And how you have, like you said, the fusion of the two cultures. It's wonderful. I know how you are with the community, how you love your friends, how you love, you go and shop for outfits and you put them together. You do it in a very elegant way.
Thank you.
I've been trying to bring this to my viewers that yes, when you're in this country, you can wear the same garb but in a different way. And you just is an example today of what you've done.
Well, sometimes I think what it is, it's a comfort level. That if they grew up wearing saris, it's going to be hard for them to adapt. I own saris, and I love them, and I've worn them. However, I don't know how to put them on. So it becomes a problem. I need somebody to stand there and pleat for me. And there was one sari that was made for me, and I don't know where they got the measurements from. It wasn't what I gave them because I had to wrap it around twice in order to get it to fit properly, so it didn't accomplish what the end result should have been. But I just think that I tend to wear the American look more because that's my comfort level. I attended a wedding recently, an Indian wedding in Texas, and it was a 3-day function. I wore the first night for dinner, I wore an American outfit. For the ceremony the following day, I wore an Indian outfit, complete Indian. Everyone's, oh, you look so nice, because they're not used to seeing me that way. And that evening, I did a fusion. I did Indian jewelry with an American outfit, but I made it look part Indian and part American.
Isn't that wonderful?
And it worked. It was just easier. The Indian clothing is not that easy to pack. And we were going with one suitcase that was not going to, fit if I had to start putting in all these frills and all these petticoats and things that fluff it up. But I think everybody has to have their own comfort level.
They do. But
And-
it's nice to have a fusion when you are at the workplace.
Yes.
I believe.
Yes. And especially, at the workplace or even when you socialize. If you're socializing in a mixed crowd, you could come in wearing, an Indian lady could come in wearing a beautiful pant or a skirt and a nice, some of the Indian tops are lovely. And it doesn't have to be a savakamise or a sari. It could be something that is a fusion of both, that she would be comfortable in and she would feel comfortable in. But that's individual taste. It's not easy to command or suggest to people what to wear. And as I say, I've had the Indian ladies look me up and down from top to bottom. It's okay. I mean, I feel comfortable in my skin, and that's all that matters.
That's true. That's so true. But when you see they're bringing up children, so the children would like to be also raised, seeing their mom feel comfortable when they're in a social gathering.
The whole thing is, though, when you have, I've seen to many functions that the ladies who have young children tend to buy the Indian outfits in India, and you see these young little girls wearing the Indian dresses and little boys wearing the Indian suits. It looks cute, but that's their culture, so that's what they're doing. Yet if you put that child in an American birthday party dressed in an Indian look, the child would feel out of place.
Correct.
You're not living in a ghetto of your own people. You live in a mixed culture. And a mixed culture of everybody, you do feel out of place if you don't blend.
True, and that brings out the self-confidence of the child right from childhood.
Right.
The same way I was trying to explain my viewers on the young women, educated women coming into this country with the computer backgrounds, they too will feel comfortable once they start dressing in fusion.
Well, what happens, what I've noticed, is that many of these people go into IT, and IT is basically an Asian population, so they can go in wearing anything. They can wear Indian clothes or they could wear American clothes, and there's no comfort level. It's when you socialize out of the community that's important.
True.
And I think that everybody wants to feel like they fit in.
True.
The first party I ever went to, and it was an Indian party of a lot of people. I didn't have Indian clothes, and that was probably in the late 70s, early 80s. I wore a lot of leather, and I still like leather. And I came in wearing a black leather skirt, and I had a white satin shirt, and I think I wore a leather coat or a leather jacket with it. And I have to tell you, the looks that I got were, and at that time, it was the first Indian big party I went to, and I really didn't know what the proper dress was or not, and I figured black leather and satin is always stylish, because in this country, black leather and satin took you to a nightclub or it took you to a house party. Well, this made quite a bit to chat about. So I hesitated wearing my black leather again. I did wear it. I still own leather. When I was in India, on one of my visits, I had 2 leather suits made for me.
You made 2 leather?
Yeah.
Oh,
I designed them.
fabulous.
And I made them. The only problem is I made longer skirts, and now the skirts are shorter. However, I still like a long skirt, so I don't plan on shortening the skirts.
Lovely.
I made a black one, and I made a cranberry.
That's a lovely colors.
Yeah.
And you designed them yourself?
I designed them. I don't like collars, so I made them collarless. And I told him, he was arguing with me, and I says, I'm telling you, I'm paying for this. You make what I want. And he did, and it came out lovely. And he even commented, he said, you did a nice job. Because I knew what I wanted. I spent a lot of years in fashion.
Oh.
So I knew exactly what I was looking for. And of course, I think we all have to know what we can wear. And what my comfort level was, I don't like a collar under a coat. It becomes very cumbersome. The Indian leather that I selected was a little thinner, so that I could wear it under a coat in the wintertime. Because in New England, where our seasons are so dramatically different. we don't have a lot of spring, so it's basically cold weather.
True. I love the designing part of the leather.
So you don't know me at that
No,
point.
I don't.
I wore leather in the 60s. Me and the hippies.
What a pleasure talking to you.
It was a delight being here.
Thank you.
I truly enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. And as you see that Sandy has been to India, Sandy loves the culture, Sandy loves the tradition. She said all she had to say on India. She loves traveling in India, buying clothes from India, designing her leather suits. And I hope you enjoy my show. And welcome, Sandy, once again.
I want to thank you for having me, and I hope that someday you'll invite me back and we'll discuss something else.
That would be wonderful, and I'm sure my viewers will enjoy that too. Thank you once again from Faces of South Asia. Soph is traveling to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and India. She will be back. Bye for now. See you next year.